While we ponder over the question as to whether it was the color that came first or the fruit, let's look at a brand that has become synonymous with the color orange. And we're going to be riding one of their latest bikes. I'm talking about the new KTM 390. This is a bike that is very much a hooligan in its spirit, in its build. This is a bike that has become synonymous with great performance, with an experience that is worth going through while riding it. There are lots of fans for the brand, lots of riders who swear by it, and it is sold in big numbers. Now let's take a look at what this new KTM 390 brings to us. Let's go out and ride it on the road to get a feel about how this new KTM 390 feels with its quick shifter and its brand new engine. What is the new KTM 390 all about? This is the third generation KTM 390, complete overhaul of what the bike used to be. The second generation versus the third is pretty much nothing that's been carried over. It was a segment that delivered a lot of the experiences that people in that performance segment expected. There's been a lot many more bikes in that displacement class over the last few years. But here is the third generation, completely overhauled. Brand new frame, brand new engine, brand new swing arm. Everything about it has been changed and it certainly feels better. We just come to the Bajaj track to ride it. So let's take a look at the design and build of the new KTM 390. This is a global launch and Bajaj is going to be manufacturing this KTM 390 for global markets. It is a bike that has been designed and developed for a global audience. And from that perspective, this is a very significant new upgrade for the KTM 390. The Gen 3 2024 model then does not carry over anything from its Gen 2 version. Everything from the frame, the subframe, forged parts, the engine, gearbox, everything has been changed. And much of that is showing in terms of the way it rides and the way it looks on the road. The design, of course, meant to carry over the whole lineage and the design language from the KTM brand. So you still have those split headlamps, the DRLs, giving it that whole praying mantis sort of front look, and the famous trellis orange colored frame, which then delivers the KTM flavor right through that. And the entire stance being very sporty, aggressive, upright riding position, and a very, very accessible saddle height. All of these are the fundamental character of the KTM 390, and all of that have been carried forward. One of the first things you will observe, of course, is the fact that the front disc brake has moved to the right from the left. That was the case in the Gen 1 and Gen 2 KTM 390s. And that is because it is internationally going to be on the right, and all KTM bikes of the future will now carry the disc brakes on the right hand side. It is not necessarily a performance enhancement. It's not affecting the ride in any way. The other thing you will, of course, observe is the offset monoshock absorber, which is now moved from its center position that was there in the Gen 2 to an offset right hand side position. This is also got a little more travel. This is meant to enable better rideability, better balance, and of course more comfort for the rider. The main two parts that a KTM is fundamentally known for and allows it to deliver the kind of rideability and performance that it does is the trellis frame, which is brand new in this one. It's completely changed. That again is meant to encompass and hold all of the parts in and allow for mountings like this for the offset monoshock absorber. The other new bit is this cast aluminum subframe, which got a lot more stiffness, cast in a very, very special way. Bajaj officials tell me that the chain runs through this subframe, and that kind of quality and detail and finish takes a certain degree of excellence to achieve. That subframe again acting as the swing arm, and that swing arm subframe delivers a lot more stiffness to the ride and balance. We did experience it on the track, and I can already tell you that much of that impact can be felt while you are riding it on the edge into corners. The other bit, of course, that is new and is helping this new KTM 390 deliver better performance are some of the forged parts, things like the foot peg frame, brake levers, the rear grab handle, all of these have been improved. There's a lot of weight savings that have also come through because of these forged parts, about 4 to 5 kilos that have come through from an improvement in the rim. Both these rims are lighter, delivering about 1.7 to 1.9 kilograms of weight savings. The rear hugger has now been removed and it doesn't need the rear hugger, and Bajaj officials and KTM officials tell me it still meets the Indian requirements without the hugger, and there again it's about 800 grams of saving. So little bits, increments like this that have then delivered about 5 kilograms of weight savings. All of that weight saving of course helps in delivering a higher power to weight ratio. This monoshock absorber which I spoke about is also enabling this new KTM 390 to offer a lower seat height of about 800 mm and at the same time allow for a higher ground clearance of about 183, and that combination is being achieved because of this offset position. The other change of course is the fact that the belly pan is now gone, and that has allowed about 300 grams of weight savings, and also the routing and pre-treatment positioning or configuration for the silencer and the exhaust has changed. That has allowed KTM to completely wrap the silencer into a very tight crevice, allowing a shorter tube also like you see, and still get the classic KTM exhaust note and meet all regulation requirements. It still is a very good riding position at 800 mm. You have the option of buying a taller saddle which you can then fit onto the same position. Also does get a completely new set of electricals and switchgear. The lighting is all LED. The rear of course also gets a completely new tail lamp, and you also get the controls and switchgear being replaced from past. The digital instrument cluster itself is brand new with smartphone like bonded screen for digital display that does allow much more clarity and visibility under sunlight. Display also can be used easily by toggling with the switches and choosing from various different settings, and a lot of the electronic options of course can be switched on and switched off, and you can choose from various settings and modes, ride modes right through the screen. Visibility specifically is very good with this TFT screen, and there is no fogging, and even under differential lighting that we experienced today, the clarity was very good. The 2024 390 Duke gets a 399cc engine. It's a brand new engine with a completely new bore and stroke. This engine is about 26cc larger than the 373cc engine that was in the Gen 2 390 Duke. And this engine of course also gets a bump up in output. It now delivers 46 PS of peak power at about 8,500 RPM and a peak torque of about 39 Newton meters at about 6,500 RPM. Now both these numbers are higher than the Gen 2 390 Duke by just marginal an increment, and yet what KTM officials tell me, and of course I could experience it on the track especially, was that almost 80% or 30 Newton meters of torque is delivered right from about 5,000 RPM. That makes it definitely quicker on the go, and also you must remember that there's been some weight savings. Even the engine is lighter by about 1 kilo thanks to the dry sump that's been used. In fact, KTM's the numbers that they shared show that this is the highest power to weight ratio. So the new KTM 390 Duke of course is genuinely quicker. It does the 0 to 60 kmph run in about 2.4 seconds compared to the 2.8 seconds that the Gen 2 managed, and a lot of the torque, like I said, also comes about 1000 RPM earlier. The cooling performance is also improved thanks to the curved radiator, which offers about 10% more surface than the earlier straight one, and also takes the heat away from the rider as another advantage. Compression ratio is also marginally different at about 12.71. It's a 15-liter fuel tank, so you should be able to ride longer with this. On-road mileage performance is not something that I can tell you right off based on the kind of riding we did today, but yes, we shall wait for the rated mileage. On the road and on the track, the new KTM 390 Duke's performance is a definite step up compared to the Gen 2 version. The engine and gearbox, the 6-speed gearbox, the combination works really well. The refinement levels have gone up. There's much lesser vibration at the pegs and of course at the bar. There is quicker response from the ride-by-wire throttle. There is also the quick shifter, which is different from the quick shifter that was offered in the Gen 2 version. This one is also capable of delivering a smooth shift without the use of the clutch while you are riding in city speeds or crawling in traffic. But on the track too, it does its job extremely well. The quick shifter shifts clean. There are some spots and some of the conditions where it was a little clunky, the shift, mostly at lower RPM levels, but overall the performance is still extremely good. Gear ratios apparently are very close set to the Gen 2 engine, but there are still some changes, and after all the engine is completely new and the gearbox integration and the quick shifter integration has been done specifically for this engine. Then again, it does feel similar in terms of the way it performs. So we've been riding the new KTM 390 on Pune's roads and of course at Bajaj plant track, which is a fairly decent technical track with some good corners, some sweeping corners, and of course some of those long straights. The new KTM 390 does top speeds of over 165 kilometers per hour with ease. Of course, do not try this on regular roads. We were riding it on the track. It also leans into corners with a lot more confidence. There's a lot more balance, and the suspension is absolutely spot on, even on some of the bad patches that we've been riding on around the industrial area near Chakan. Some of these roads are seriously broken and bad, and the ride on this is certainly far better. It is far more sorted in terms of its whole comfort bias. Ride quality apart, new KTM 390 has great street presence. The design really works for it, and the larger, higher profile fuel tank and the way you can, the knee recesses have been built in, and the way you can really tuck yourself into the bike really gives you a lot more confidence while riding it. It also is a bike that settles in very well. There's a lot of personalization that's possible now. In fact, KTM officials tell me that the focus for this new KTM 390 have been two main aspects. One, of course, is to give it a little more of that exotic stature, exotic build quality that comes through with the way it has been constructed, the way the silencer has been routed and it's been tucked in. The other part, of course, is personalization, and that is something that I genuinely like. If you are a rider that would like to make this 390 Duke really fit into your profile, offer you the kind of firmness of ride and the dynamics that you're expecting, then this is the right thing for you. The front forks get 5-step rebound and 5-step compression adjustments. The rear monoshock also gets the rebound adjustment and preload adjustment, so you can genuinely change the setting to suit your riding style and your weight profile. The other thing, of course, is the fact that you can choose between rain, track and street ride modes. The ride modes have been retuned. The rain, of course, offering slightly higher intrusion for the MTC, the traction control and the ABS, with a slightly softer throttle response, but the other two still feel very quick, and we have experienced all three modes, and the bike really feels so much better now than in the Gen 2 version. This is now priced at about 13,000 more than the Gen 2 KTM 390. This is been priced at about 3,10,000, and you basically get a single trim variant fully loaded with all of these features that we spoke about. Go to your nearest KTM showroom, take a test ride and let us know what you think.